Ben for Stones here folks, today showing you how you can use this Zempire Aerobase TM Link to join your Aerobase shelter to your Zempire Evo TS or TM tent.
Hit it.
This is a fully weatherproof link between your Evo TS TM tent or your Aerobase shelter, easily attached with zippers on both sides and extends the living space of your camping area. Before we dive into this product, there is loads more content like this on our YouTube channel, so make sure you like and subscribe and you'll get notified of all of our latest content. Now let's jump in. This is the Zempire Aerobase or Evo TM TS Aerobase Link in my hand here. It weighs just under a kilo, measures about 30 centimeters and about 12 centimeters in diameter, depending on how well you pack it up. Now you use these to attach any Evo or Zempire Evo TM or TS tent, like I've got set up here, to any Aerobase or Zempire Aerobase shelter, like what I've got here. So I've just got the standard Aerobase here, and this creates a weatherproof tunnel, I suppose, or join between these two shelters. Attaches really easily with zips, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. Now, there's a few ways you can attach these. The instructions, I believe, show to attach it to the tent first. We've had people say they prefer to attach it to the shelter first. What I'm going to do here today is attach it to the shelter so I can move this closer to the tent. I need to remove guy ropes off the tent, and that'll allow me to sort of attach things without it sort of collapsing. But no correct way to do it, just whatever's easiest for you. So we'll take this out of the bag. The one thing we do need to get correct though is the orientation of the link here. Now this is a sample, so it doesn't have all the features on it that we essentially need. What you will have on the link that you buy will be on one of these corners, a little marker indicating which side goes to the tent. Now I don't have that on this, but I know that this little metal clip here is the side that goes to the shelter, which is behind me here. And this is actually a lock to stop the zip from sort of moving back up the zip under pressure. It'll make more sense shortly. So when we zip it up, we always go from left to right. So, or from my right-hand side down here, sorry, if I'm facing away from the tent, left to right if I'm facing towards the tent. That's got the zipper down there, but we know we're going to be trying to zip it to the wrong side. If we have a look down on this side of the tent, we can see we've got a bit of a long tail here. That's not the end we want to zip onto or start the zip. So if the zipper pull is on this end of the zipper here, we need to actually run it back along the zip, right back to the other side over here, where we start to attach the Evo link here. So we can see we've got both zipper pulls at this end of the shelter. So this is on the Aerobase shelter. So I'm going to slide the shelter side of the link, so this side doesn't have tent marker on it. I'm going to slide that in here and start to zip it up. Now this can be a little bit tricky. Setting one of these up is better with two people, but as you zip this up you kind of need to keep some tension on the zipper so that it doesn't get stuck, and you've got a few sort of corners like this one here. You just need to wiggle it around those corners a little bit to keep it going. So we'll just work this around till we go right across the top of the tent and down to the other side. The link's attached to our Aerobase shelter there now. This is how far the shelter will be away from the tent. So what I've got to do is move the shelter, or grab some help, move the shelter close to the tent. So there's a few steps we can do here to try and make this sort of a tidy way to connect it. So we need to remove these guy ropes at the front here to be able to attach this. But if I remove these now, the pole of the Evo TS here is just kind of going to collapse backwards. So if we do it in a staged approach, the tent stays up. What I'm going to do is come down to this side of the tent here. If I was facing the tent, this would be the left-hand side. So I'm going to zip left to right, and I'm going to start to zip the link onto the tent here. So I'll slide that in and get this started. I've zipped this to this point here. We can see the guy ropes are now kind of getting in the way. So I'm going to detach these guy ropes, really handy because there's just side release buckles here. I'm going to remove these. Now this tent, there's still a second guy rope holding this, but it's going to collapse a little bit, but it'll only go as far as this fabric allows it to go. But I can now continue to zip this up till I get to the second guy rope here. I'm going to detach that as well. Now the tent will start to collapse a little bit now, but I can complete zipping this up right down to the bottom, and now both shelters are joined. I now need to go back out to our Aerobase shelter here, pull the shelter back so that this tightens up, and then we can anchor our shelter to the ground. Once you've stretched the fabric between the two shelters enough, just come out to your Aerobase and just kick it out so that these tensioning straps are all firm. You're just trying to create tension between the two shelters so that the The link provides support for the tent at the rear, and the gazebo or the shelter at the front is creating some tension here. Now, if we just come down to the base of the shelter here, we don't want to pull it too tight. You might need to come back a little bit. We just need to peg these to make this sort of sit at a 90-degree angle here, which is going to create a bit of tension between the shelter here. We do that on both sides. Peg our Aerobase out on the corners. If we use all the guy ropes for the Aerobase, it's going to create even more tension for the link in between here. You can see now we've got it all set up and kind of tensioned. The shelters are kind of pulling against each other because the tent requires those guy ropes here to stay up. So it's relying on the Aerobase for that tension. Now this will work okay as it is now, but ideally what we want to do is put a bit more tension back this way, which is going to loosen all the slack out of the link here. To do that, we'll just use the guy ropes on the opposite side of the Aerobase there to create that tension. So that's the link all set up between the two shelters here. We've got a weatherproof link. So we've got this storm flap that sits over the top of the zipper here for weather protection. And then on this side, a little PVC flap sitting over that zipper there. So it offers weatherproof protection or weatherproof walkway between the two shelters. Now this is made of the same 150 denier fabric that their shelters are made of, with a 6,000mm waterhead. So this offers the same weather protection as the shelters do. It just creates that weatherproof tunnel between the two tents. Let's have a look from the inside of how it looks in here now. So we've got our Aerobase shelter set up in front here. And now a seamless transition where the link exists here between the two, which is essentially extending this space that we've got here with the tent. And then the tent itself starts here. So we've got our tent vestibule or awning here, and then our sleeping space at the back. So it's extended our living space of the tent just with this little bit of fabric here to include our shelter as an integrated part of our weather protected space. Add some walls on the shelter here and you've got a completely weather enclosed area that you can hunker down in if you like in really bad weather. That is the Evo TM link from Zempire for joining Evo tents and their shelters. You can check these out online at snowies.com.au.